Hello everyone, I'm Plasma Warriors, may like to call me that guy with the afro. A few quick things to announce. Basically, because YouTube is being a pain in the butt, we all know why. My live streaming hasn't gone as according to plan. I'm doing more on my phone, so it's gonna be a little bit of a different change. However, I feel like I'm gonna be doing more live stuff on Twitch, simply because I haven't used that much and I want to actually work on that bit. So I will have these videos up on YouTube, and this one is no exception. I'm working on two others. I just haven't got it quite right to work on one that I was gonna do before PAX. And I'm also potentially working on, let's say, about Pathfinder Society and streaming something on Twitch there. I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon. I'm guessing it's going to be another month or so, because the next games that we're going to have are a week after this one, but I'm already doing something then. The time after that, I'll probably have more time to play something. So it might not be this coming weekend or next coming weekend, but weekend after next weekend. I know, it's just something I had to get out of here. But anyway, let's get to the point. The reason why you're here is PAX South 2020, and 2019 was pretty amazing. You gotta be honest with you. Yeah, sure, cosplaying is still not a big deal. And really, trying to talk about indie comics, I'm not gonna go very far. But again, it's gaming. And as a gamer, I love it. But we're not just talking generally any game you could get at your local game shop. We're not talking Warhammer and, apples to apples. We're talking stuff that you probably would have never seen before. And that's what I love about PAX South. Is stuff that I can never really take a look at until I actually touch it. So, did 2020 do any good? Well, first thing you know is what you see is what you get. Straight up. Tons of gaming. There's tons of things you can actually play and enjoy, no matter what your kind of tastes are. There are VR rooms for people to try out. A Just Dance stage on the second floor. No, Just Dance, like that. And really, jam sessions, you can have your own instruments and stuff. And there's a handheld area with beanbags where you can play games like Pokemon. A ton of demos also. It's like, you want to play something you've never seen before? PAX South is it. If it had a card, a dice, a controller, you could probably go ahead and play it. Their large tabletop library is expansive. There is stuff there that I've never seen sold at a game store. For instance, right off the top of my head, there's a store that demoed things that or basically mini-game card sessions. It's called Ninja Academy. You basically try to one-up somebody else and play a game to win, points for yourself, and judging from other people gives you another point. It's a great kind of like Mario Party feel, but no actual board or stars. I really think that was fun, and I suggested that to many people. But you got to keep in mind, PAX South is half convention, half trade show. It's not E3 big. It's not going to be humongous that size. But I think PAX South shows that indie gamers can really be developing place that normally you don't get a lot of people coming. You get 25,000 plus people that you can showcase indie game development to. That's humongous. Yeah, I know there are conventions elsewhere. Houston and Dallas are just straight cons for pretty much all time's sake. But I like how San Antonio has been able to put trade shows together. And also, there are some other groups represented from San Antonio. The Gaming Society of San Antonio had their Swappy Showdown on display. Also, again, shout out to the Pathfinder Society here in San Antonio. They did gaming demos as well. It wasn't super big for their year this year, but it was something, they just got people involved, and I got an extra experience point out of it. Woohoo! Though, there's something missing here. And it's Warhammer. And usually in San Antonio, Warhammer is the thing. You know, you go to Houston for Pathfinder, you go to Austin for indie RPGs, but no 40K in a convention in San Antonio. It really was weird to me. I get the staging is hard, the pricing is difficult to really gather. Like, you understand a basic set, just a base, not even your whole army, is $50. Yeah, I can understand that, but it was a missed opportunity to have base painting and Warhammer figurines and actual kind of like representatives of your own personal style. That was a missed opportunity PAX should capitalize on. I found it really hard to understand why they missed that. Now, something I find weird. Let me explain. I don't find it weird because of one thing being just wrong. It's a good thing when you can pull gamers together no matter what happens. I found it weird that there was a Latino section for game development. Now, this is not a bad thing at all. I'm totally happy that they did that. The problem is, you know, I find it strange that that's the only representation, especially when you have a convention the week before Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and there wasn't any African American representation, or as my buddy Todd Salfor would go, Black America. Shout out to Zen of the Streets, ladies and gentlemen. Or even Indian American or Middle Eastern American. You know, there wasn't something other than Latino. Again, not a terrible thing that Latinos are presented. I'm not saying they can't be. In fact, I'm all for that. I'm just saying there should have been more of that kind of mix. And in a place that caters a little bit to bring up the GBLTQ representation, I found it really weird. But here's the thing. I'm not trying to insult any one race because I believe all races are important. All races matter. All lives matter. Don't give me that, oh, Black Lives Matter stuff. We're not doing that today. This is not getting political. But gaming transcends all that. It transcends race. It transcends gender. It transcends sexuality. It transcends even religion or politics. None of that should matter. I just feel like it was weird that one group was represented, but they missed an opportunity to kind of bridge more gaps within other groups as well. I admit, you know, a lot of players know everything about Japanese gaming, you know, Super Mario Brothers, for crying out loud. But I found it really weird that it was just that one group. And in fact, I understand the Diversity Lounge has stuff, but I didn't really see any like GBLTQ development representation even. So it's kind of weird that I say that and not see that. You know, it's just, I find it odd. It's not horribly bad one way or another. It's just, I wish there was something more than that, you know. That's what I'm saying. But the real point I want to make about this was it looked like what wasn't there was a big problem. Now, the second floor had a bunch of convention center rooms that just weren't used for anything. And I don't know why. I don't know why there wasn't about 4 or 5 rooms on one side of a hallway that weren't used for anything. I just can't believe that you couldn't find a place for, like, hey, RPG demos. I really didn't like also that they had RPGs and just on the ground floor and didn't really have them anywhere else, even though you could play tabletop games anywhere that has a table. There are plenty of spaces for that. I love that they had D&D Adventures, and also another one that was Wild West themed that based itself on blackjack other than dice rolls. But there was a lot of empty space. The queue line, I've said, was a problem from the word go. They brought it back. And I understand it's cold outside in San Antonio, but it just felt like they didn't really need that space for the queue line itself. In fact, it actually kind of got away now that I think about it. I didn't write this in my original review, but now that I think about it, there was the prize dispensing service where you scan your badge. They brought that stupid thing back again this year, by the way. And you could spin on a roulette wheel or slot machine, whatever kind of digital thing. And you would be getting, like, common miniature prizes for whatever. Not everyone got anything, and that's a bit of a, okay, swag needs to be addressed. The problem with this was, it was right next to the eatery. inside a convention center. In fact, the line was blocking the eatery from being utilized more, and that's something you need to get away from the eateries. You need to do it in a place where people don't have to wait on their trying to get their food because you're getting this special prize. And it wasn't that expensive to eat there, but it was just I kind of feel like you should have kept that on the side anyway. Now the biggest hole, however, now that I'm getting to things that were missing, was the arcade. And last year wasn't the worst arcade I've ever seen. They had a arcade cabinet of CVS 1, for crying out loud. CVS 2 is 10 times better, but you get the point. And they didn't have an arcade. It was really strange. There was no windjammers going on. It was big last year. There was no third strike happening. You wanted that 6-man X-Men arcade machine? It wasn't there this year. Why? Why wasn't that brought back? I understand you have to contract some of this, but it just felt like, again, that's one of the few holes they had. And they had a great arcade lineup for the last 3 years. Why wasn't it here this year? I don't know. The note of the convention, however, again, this is the kind of personality you have to get noticed at PAX South. With all the things that are going on, all the attention being drawn away from you, this was brilliant. Foam Brain Games, is a basically traveling game store based out of New York. And they sell a lot of dice. They sell a lot of tabletop games. I mean, King of Tokyo was going off the shelves like crazy, partly because the game developers demoed it right next to their booth. That kind of had something to say about it. But all that aside, metal dice, fancy stuff, they really bring out some great things to look at. However, this is the kind of personality you need. What they did was they found an inflatable pool rat that's a unicorn and just filled it up with a bunch of dice. Just toss it all in there. And they call it Sparkles the Dice Unicorn. They even had pins for sale that you could hook onto your lanyard or whatever of Sparkles. And I thought that was just the most clever thing you could have done. Again, it's hard to get noticed. I know people are going to scream at me like this, but your cosplay that would be grand picture take worthy any other place in the world is an afterthought at PAX South. It really is. And when you do something like this, when you stand out that much from the crowd, when you randomly pull your dice, like I'm looking for a specific D20, maybe I can find it here for $1. Or they even had tubs you could fill for different amounts. There were small, medium, large, and you can even handpick them. It would cost you less to handpick and put in even a small tub than would have pulled that amount in dice, just by hand, individually. And I thought, you know what, that was gotta be the single most brilliant thing somebody has ever done at PAX. You were showing off your personality while putting it in a display out in front for people to see. Bravo, Foam Brain Games. Bravo. Very brilliant. And quite frankly, one of the most brilliant things I've ever seen at PAX South. PAX South, however, really is the way you see it in general. Are you looking for a general convention that you can show off your awesome cosplay? We'll talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle after show characters. Yeah, okay, sure, this isn't the convention for you. I admit that. Are you judging this based on last year's PAX South? You're right, it took a step back. Some of the major players weren't there. I didn't see anything from Capcom. Nintendo didn't show up like they did 2 years ago. Overall, it was a bit of a step back. I agree. However, if you see it on a pure gaming convention aspect, well, you gotta tip your cap and say it was definitely one of the better gaming conventions I've been to. Not as good as last year, not nearly as good as Dragon Con as an overall convention, probably a little bit higher than San Japan by like a slim margin. And San Japan is kind of like getting more meh nowadays. I mean, they got 20,000, but again, when you're at Labor Day weekend, where are you gonna go? San Japan or one of the biggest conventions on the entire planet in Dragon Con? I'm sorry, I'm taking a 28-hour bus ride to Atlanta, Georgia, no matter what you say. There are a lot of things that they could have done better. I agree. They did bring some good stuff there, like True Dungeon, which is a walk-in kind of RPG thing. They had the creator of the comic strip series Foxtrot. I really like that comic strip. I was just a little too busy to actually talk to him. I would have loved to talk to him more. But again, it needs a little bit more racial inclusion. Like I said, Martin Luther King Jr. Day was the day after PAX South. The return of an arcade, a big boost to the local gamers. Definitely need to showcase them more. And it will be much better if 2021 if they go back to San Antonio. Now, I've heard rumors. I'm not confirming this. That they're moving to Atlanta, Georgia for next year. And I would actually suggest not to do that. In fact, that could be one of the worst ideas ever. You know why? Because Atlanta already has big shows going on. They have literally a building of nothing but shops that are of 3 floors high, and that's only one building out of 5 buildings you can go to a convention for. There's no way you're gonna do well against Dragon Con, especially when you're not as prominent as you could be. I think it needs to be stay in San Antonio. It does just fine here. It's pretty solidly done. It just needs to be a little bit more localized flavor to put it over the top. Something that San Japan has constantly seemed to fail to do. And if they're bringing it back to San Antonio next year, I'll definitely be tasting that flavor again. There is so much still to look at, but it is a case of buyer beware. You know what PAX South is. You know what's going to have. You know where you're going to. It's not going to change very much. It hasn't changed realistically to be anything other than pure gaming, 90% at most, or at least, whatever. In the last 5 years, it's not going to change overnight. You're not going to come out here and be like talking nothing but sci-fi to everybody and they'll automatically get it. You're not going to really have that awesome cosplay that would have gotten thousands of pics at another convention, get even but maybe 100 here. It's just, that's what you're getting. That's what you're going to. That's what it's going to be. And it's nothing wrong with that. It is the convention that it is, but you've got to be willing to work within its ways. And all those ways are great for gaming. Perfectly great for gaming. And now that I'm done with that, my convention year has come to a close. Oh, thank goodness. The next convention that I know of will be Comic Palooza on Memorial Day weekend in Houston, Texas. But until then, I have nothing really to do. I guess let's go back to Pathfinder time, right? But I am going to air this out here because I'm a Titans fan and they lost. I actually don't know who to pick for the Super Bowl, but I'm going to go ahead and if I'm going to pick one from all the year I've seen, I'm going with the San Francisco 49ers. Yeah, I know Patrick Mahomes is doing amazing, but Jimmy Garoppolo is almost at that level, and that defense is a lot better than Kansas City. So I'm going to take the 49ers 38-21 in the Super Bowl. Hold me to that. I'm not making any bets. I'm just saying hold me to it. Go ahead and laugh at me like you did with the Alex Bregman World Series prediction. If I'm wrong, please do. But until I see you next time, it will be a while. It might be after the Super Bowl. It might be on a Twitch stream. Later.